Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. I'm Humble and we're back on the Zero today to take care of kind of an outstanding issue, one that keeps coming back and one that I think is going to be kind of an issue going forward until it gets resolved. Particularly, this is about the fuel tank and the fuel filter. So in previous episodes, we went through and had to replace our external fuel pump and fuel filters because there was so much garbage and broken down fuel and just detritus inside of the fuel tank. And we replaced it with a kind of a Holley universal drop-in pump. And this is what that setup looks like now. So this is our universal drop-in. These lines go forward out to the tank, and this is the little plate I talked about previously as just a cover plate and then trimming this hole out. I didn't really feel like filming that because I just really didn't think there was anything to it. So we'll pop that out of the way along with our trunk carpet there, to reveal kind of what's going on underneath. So we have our lines here, and what I need to do is pop out this drop-in filter, or this drop-in pump assembly, to replace the fuel filter on the end of it. Now currently I have a setup exactly like this one. It's a Holley hydromat that sits on the end of our fuel pump, and this sits, as you can see, like right there, it covers about a third or the middle of the tank. And the way these hydromats work is basically magic. You have all these little porous holes, and if at any point the tip or the end or the middle even of this filter go dry, it sort of like closes up and then begins drawing fuel from where there is liquid touching it or fuel touching it, and then it begins wicking it from that area through the middle and then up into the pump. It's, like I said, it's basically magic. I have this similar technology pickup in the tanks in the Ultima, one on each side, and I can tell you from experience that I have sucked those tanks dry, bone dry, on multiple occasions while trying to get my fuel sender set up correctly. Well, kind of the same story here. I have not actually pulled this tank dry yet, but it's also not very big. I think this tank is maybe 7.5 to 8 gallons, and our fuel sender here on the end of the tank has like a little cordoned off area. There's a baffle about here on the tank, and it measures fuel here, but there's no capacitor on it. There's no smoothing action. So as you go around corners or brake or accelerate, the gas sloshes around in this little section of tank, and it causes the gauge to swing wildly, and it takes a moment for it to settle down and to give an accurate number. Now, in my drive so far, I've been pulling down quite a bit of fuel, and I've never had the tank, well, barely even to halfway, or a little less than halfway empty, but the gauge was indicating empty. So I took our sender out, bent the arm a little bit, put it back in, make sure everything was happy, and I've been running it, and I have yet to fill it up since, so I'm waiting to see if the gauge is a little more accurate now. And before I put some more miles on it, what I need to do is actually pull this pump assembly out and change the filter sock yet again because of all the garbage in the fuel sock. Now, what I've done previously is these are expensive. They're like 140, 150 bucks, give or take, and I didn't want to continue to burn 150 bucks every couple of tanks. That's just, there's no appetite for that whatsoever. These little filters are like 5 bucks, 10 bucks, 15 bucks, and I picked up 3 different ones. Unfortunately, one of them, the end is the wrong style. It's too big. But these two will work just for this purpose, which is burn through a whole bunch of these every couple of tanks, sucking all of that garbage out of the fuel tank. And then when it's finally going distance and we're not going through these filter socks, we'll switch back to the hydromat and get that in the tank instead of burning these up over and over and over again. I've tried to take the other one out, clean it, put it back in, and it works for 1 or 2 fuel tanks, and we're just right back to ground zero. So we'll try this method, go through a bunch of these socks, pull a bunch of dirt and garbage out, and then we'll switch back to the hydromat once the tank is clean or mostly clean. So for now, set the camera down, get to work. We'll pull that pump assembly out, quickly switch the filter element, slap everything back together. All right, so like I said, quick and easy job. Really, there's nothing to it. 5 bolts, quickly swap the filter, put it all back together. I've got it down to a science now because, again, I've had to do this so many times. But let's look at the before and after. Not a lot to add to that. So I have cleaned out this filter probably like 4 times now, and it just keeps coming out well, black like that. And as I mentioned, I don't want to burn through $150 filters every couple of weeks. So instead, we're going to go through the little ones. So that's done. Got a new one in there. Got another one on standby here. So the real test here is we're just going to key on, and previously the fuel pump would just scream because of, well, all the blockages. It's as soon as it would build pressure, it has to fight to pull in fuel from all the garbage that's in the fuel filter. And believe it or not, that is significantly quieter. And that's without the carpet on. Let's put the carpet back in. And we'll give this a real test. Not that this carpet's going to make it so much quieter, but every little bit makes the difference. And I won't say that's barely audible, but it is a much quieter than it used to be. With the old filter in it, there was so much garbage in the filter, the fuel pump was actually louder than the exhaust, and that's saying something. So I'm going to put the camera up on the roll bar. We'll go for a quick little spin, and you'll be able to hear, or rather not hear, the fuel pump, but you will be able to hear the new exhaust that I detailed in the last general update video. Let me get the camera in place, get some warm gear on, and we'll take the Zero for a quick little rip. Is 40 degrees Fahrenheit too cold to commute in the 7? I guess we're gonna find out. right, so you know that nice new filter we just put in? It's already full of shit. So here we are, stranded in a beautiful location just outside Saratoga, and we're doing a roadside fix. Same as before, we're gonna loosen up these bolts for the universal fuel pump assembly, and then quickly swap out our fuel strainer. Another pristine fuel pump pre-filter.
So how do you like that fuel setup?
I really like this setup, actually. The fact that I can quickly gain access and change the filter when I need to, which is fairly regularly now. Setting it up was super easy. It's a universal fitment, so you just got to measure the depth.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about it as a retrofit to my Zero.
Honestly, there's no real reason not to do it.
Well, I'd like to be able to remove the second pump from my setup.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have our saturated filter now on the bottom here. You can see, yeah, there's just even fuel in the filter that can't even get out because the filter itself, the medium, is full. And it doesn't look like it. This one doesn't look particularly dirty or full of sand or anything, but the pores are full of, you know, fuel that's been gelatined and no longer able to flow. But if we replace it with a new unit, and we'll just slap this guy on and back in the tank, and now we just button this guy back up, and there we go. So, moment of truth time. Put the key in. I don't even have to start it.
No, you should just be able to hear it prime, right?
Yeah, but the fact is, when it primes, it should be quiet. Like that, like that. It's almost inaudible, at least out here.
Yeah.
Versus previously it was screeching. And now this car's gonna rip on the way home.
Well, hopefully. I mean, you might get halfway there.
Class. All right, so that's it for our roadside repair. I'll see you back in the garage with a quick rundown. So after that little escapade, basically got home so angry, I just parked the car, turned everything off, called it a night. So the following day, today, we're back in the garage, back with the car. I've got the larger hydromat filter on the car again, because it's obvious that those small filters just don't cut it. They plug up so quickly. The first filter lasted for about 37 miles. The second filter lasted for about 10 minutes, maybe not even that long. Like, we changed that filter in the parking lot of the park, and I didn't even get 3 miles up the road before the fuel pump was screaming again, and the car died while I was sitting in traffic. I was able to limp it into a parking lot to change the filter to the larger hydromat, which I didn't want to use just yet, but what I'm finding is that there's so much surface area on the hydromat that even when the fuel pump starts screaming, there's still enough pressure that I can limp the car home, versus those little filters clog up so quickly, and when they do, it completely blocks all flow, and then the motor just dies on me, and it leaves me wherever I happen to be at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to swap between the two larger hydromat filters and continue to clean them as they fill up. Here's what the smaller filters look like. So this was the first filter that I had in the car, and it doesn't look especially dirty. I mean, it was white like this, and now it's yellowed, and the pores that you can see just got blocked by something. It's not dirt. I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, it's yellowed and discolored, but for whatever reason, this just stopped flowing fuel. Ditto for this guy. This is the one I put in next, and this one is the one that lasted about 10 minutes, and then it just died altogether. You can see there's a little bit of garbage in the filter here, but overall, it's not like super dirty or anything. It just worked for literally about 10 minutes, and then it stopped flowing fuel altogether. And then I put the larger filter back in, brand new hydromat filter, which is a large 15-inch unit, which I don't have the old one here. Of course, the car is still dirty from that last run, throwing mud up and all over it. I can say, when the fuel filter isn't clogged and the pump can flow fuel, this thing is a rocket ship. Without the cat and on the, with the new exhaust, this thing is amazing, and it just rips down the road. But the second those fuel filters get clogged with whatever's causing that, it just sucks all of the life and all of the power out of the engine. So not sure if you guys have seen this before. If anyone out there has any ideas, like if there's a fuel treatment, whatever, I'm all ears. This is just super frustrating, and it shouldn't be going through filters like this. And it is the filter, because I can pull the filter off of the pump and submerge the pump back in the tank, and it's immediately quiet, and immediately there's full pressure. But then whatever it is that's clogging these filters is going to just get shot through the fuel system and then eventually clog injectors, whatever. So that's not really a good answer. I've thought about running just a high pressure filter, but again, that's a lot harder to change on the side of the road, and again, more likely to leave me stranded. So sticking with these pre-filters is kind of the way to go still, at least for the moment. For those of you who are already starting to type, yes, I've cleaned and dried and scraped and vacuumed the tank. I've done it actually twice now. I've tried to rinse it with water, fully dry it, put everything back together, and whatever it is, I don't know if it's just broken down ethanol or whatever that's still in the tank, causing it to clog. I can only clean about 2/3 of the tank. The last third, which is where the fuel sender sits, is blocked by an internal baffle. I can't remove the tank because the tank is bonded to the chassis. And if you look, the body is all one piece, all the way in the back, all the way around on the sides. all this aluminum, that's all one piece. The gap is right here. I just noticed it. So there's a piece here that is the whole back of the car. That entire piece would have to be removed in order to chisel the tank off of the chassis and then remove it from the car. And I just don't have an appetite for that. So the tank goes all the way across. About here, there's a divider that separates this section from the rest of the tank. This is where our fuel sender is, and this is the part that I can't clean. So if there's any garbage, anything in this area, I can't do anything about it. This area over here is what I've cleaned. It's what I've dried and cleaned and scraped and vacuumed, etc., through this hole that we made in the tank before, and it just doesn't seem to be enough. So knowing that, if you have any ideas for, I don't know, like a fuel treatment or an ethanol treatment or something like that, because what I think is there's still like broken down like gel or jelly or something like that from the fuel that is in the tank that I can't get to, that I can't clean, that is blocking those filters. Not just straight up dirt, but like just other broken down fuel bits. So if anybody knows of something that I can put in the tank to help treat it and get that stuff to break up again, let me know. Because I'm tired of fighting this. I really want to get out and enjoy this car, but I'm just not able to at the moment, and it's super frustrating. So that being said, that's where we're at on the Zero. We'll see what the comments say in this, and see if I can come up with anything else, any new fixes by the next time. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.